Hello and welcome everyone to Mission Elixir's first podcast.
I'm Devansh and I'm the founder of Mission Elixir.
And I'm Sondos and I'm the co-founder of Mission Elixir. And this is our story. So Devansh, let's start with you. You tell us, how did you start Mission Elixir?
So Mission Elixir started as a clothing brand in an attempt to raise funds to save a suicidal person. And over time, it sort of became a much bigger mission where we have personal development coaching, sessions for mental health well-being, and also we conduct research and development into healthcare and naturopathy.
What actually pushed you to start Mission Elixir?
So initially, Elixir was just a clothing brand, and we were thinking of making it a fashionable clothing brand.
Yeah.
But we didn't really decide what social cause it would be tackling. But eventually, there was this friend who needed a helping hand. He was affected by military actions around the world, and he took a loan from banks. He took loan from banks, and he was unable to pay that loan because he lost his job because of these military actions. Over time, he couldn't repay back that loan that he had taken, and he was sort of pressured into committing suicide. To extend a helping hand, we sort of started selling all of these garments under the brand name of Elixir to raise funds to repay that loan.
And it started out as a fashion brand
Yes.
in order to sell merchandise online.
It was just a generalized clothing brand
Yeah.
like Zara, Marks and Spencer, like that.
Alright, and what made Elixir go from there to what it is today?
Well, as we went on to understand these different causes of suicide, such as discrimination, bullying, mental health, hopelessness,
Yeah.
we sort of wanted to go deeper into this issue and how we can better solve these aspects. What causes an individual to reach that certain situation in the first place?
And suicide is a very sensitive issue and it's often not discussed even on media. So even if somebody is struggling with something like that, they wouldn't know how to even reach to the right people or the right hand. So yeah.
And eventually, as we did some research into these different causes, we understood that before a person actually reaches such a situation, maybe we can prevent them from reaching that situation.
Exactly. Prevent the events that trigger them to start having those thoughts in the first place. True, yeah.
We built a personal development platform which looks into these different aspects such as career coaching, health and fitness, healthcare, various different topics with the guest speakers and lecturers coming on board Mission Elixir to create these courses.
Okay, but right now, what made Elixir just go from selling merchandise in order to raise funds to help that person or that individual, or basically focusing on suicide prevention, to right now mental health awareness? Also, we do publish blogs and articles that could actually help you, so make sure to check that out. Also, right now we're working on career development and coaching regarding, like, we can also host live talks at universities. We also, with our events, like the Celebration of Life event, which we'll talk about a little bit more. And right now with the webinars that we do every weekend. So how did Elixir go from this to that? What were the steps that it followed till it reached to this place that is right now?
Well, we started basically, as discussed before, that we conducted research and we understood what people go through and what actually, conventional healthcare and all of these services currently available, and how can we actually better diversify our own services at Mission Elixir. And what basically we're trying to heal a person as a whole, not just give them this medicine,
exactly.
that medicine, and that's it.
I agree. Actually, like, the sad thing is sometimes you would be struggling mentally and you would go to a psychiatrist and then you'd be like, okay, yeah, you have anxiety, you have depression, and they would just, throw pills at you. I mean, yes, pills could be needed in some mental issues, but the thing is, it's not always a solution. Like, sometimes a person could be struggling from deep traumas that a lot of psychiatrists don't really put their focus on it, compared to, for example, with therapy. Therapy focuses more on you understanding yourself and you understanding where are your triggers coming from and why do you feel that specific way. And as a matter of fact, actually, this is why I also joined Elixir. Like, Elixir for me is not just a business, but it's also like a personal story. I was not feeling well for the past I don't know how many years of my life I had horrible sleeping problems. And then I finally decided that I should maybe start therapy, because I've done everything, like let's say from the spiritual things like praying, etc., going to meditation, breathing exercises, and my life seemed pretty okay. Like I was having a job, I was with my family, things just seemed pretty normal, but still I was feeling horrible every single day, and I didn't know how to escape that. I didn't know how to solve my sleeping problem. I think until I was working in a school, and that school really focused on mental health and psychology. And they started advising me that don't worry, you can actually get through what you're passing through right now through therapy. So I started going through therapy at that time. And honestly, it changed my entire life. And I never took pills. I was never diagnosed with depression. But the thing is, I thought actually I was having depression and ADHD. But then when I was speaking to my therapist, she was like, no, you're just struggling because of your traumas. So they're kind of like, they fill the storage of your subconscious mind, and this is why you can't take it anymore. And this is why when I came on board with Elixir, I made sure that we actually have to introduce therapy in our platform, because therapy is a very important part. Like for example, if we want to go forward with self-growth and career coaching, sometimes your traumas and your basically personal struggles with your mental health, they will stop you from achieving these things, and you can continuously feel like you're not good enough. But it's not that you're not good enough, it's just because of the traumas and the harm that you have passed through is actually holding you back. So we decided that the first step is actually help an individual heal through therapy or through other forms of treatment. And then after that, you have to start to focus on building yourself, because you can't grow if there's still basically your leg is stuck in the mud. You have to let go of the mud in order for you to start walking.
And those are some of the aspects that we are sort of trying to understand more deeply as we go on, and how we can better, shape Mission Elixir to provide that helping hand to individuals. For example, one of our initiatives being that these hearts, that when a person can't sort of express what they're feeling inside, or
Yeah.
so we have.
Yeah, actually, I would love to know more. Actually, like how would or not me, but basically how would our viewer know more? What was the reason why we decided to go for this logo?
Well, basically, there's the heart,
Okay.
the red heart, and there is, the shield around that heart to protect that heart, because it's usually various different things that the heart gets crushed slowly.
Yes.
And to protect that heart, Mission Elixir is, that shield around that heart.
Yeah. And I think this is actually very beautiful. This is very beautiful. Like somehow, that the logo means more that we are trying to protect you or trying to protect your heart. Kind of like sometimes you look for a personal mentor or somebody to kind of guide you, and we want to be that guide. Yes, we're not experts in everything, and this is why we have a team that can help even you in becoming better and in helping you. But for the time being, what we're doing is we're working on ourselves, and also we are getting a team that can help us see the things that we can't see. So for example, even that shield is not just by basically being your protector, but we're building you in order for you to be strong enough. But at the same time, you have to know that you're not alone, and we are here for you.
And so we decided to have 3 different hearts, which is Life Elixir, Love Elixir, and Healing Elixir. Life Elixir being when somebody is sort of stuck in a situation and they can't see a way out of it. For example, my friend in Russia who, got cornered into that specific situation because of things that were out of his control. So
Unfortunately, yes.
Anybody who sort of bought a Life Elixir t-shirt, we would know as a team how to extend that helping hand to that individual, even if they cannot express it. And with Love Elixir, if somebody is going through heartbreak, this and that, or just in general, transformation, this or that, that's how we know.
We provide the love for them through that as well. Yeah.
And Healing Elixir being that sometimes people are stuck in chronic illness, or there's some kind of disease or dis-ease that is stopping them from becoming who they can be at their best.
And this is where actually we started introducing like naturopathy with us, right?
Yes.
Yes, could you tell us more about that?
So we're trying to take all the different natural scientific methods that are out there, Ayurveda, Chinese medicine, conventional naturopathy, and sort of gathering the best of each and trying to maybe eventually over time create a new system of healing.
Exactly, maybe that is somehow clear from chemicals or side effects, let's say. Yeah.
And something that's very affordable at the same time, and also conducting research into technology such as bioresonance, understanding cells, and
Yes,
the
exactly
resonance
true.
of all of these things.
Besides naturopathy, actually, like healing and therapy, as much as it is very helpful, but unfortunately, not everyone has the capacity, financial capacity, or even mental capacity to go for that. So one of the biggest goals that I decided that when we have to put therapy in Elixir, that we want to have basically, like, we will try to make it as affordable as possible for everybody. Like, we right now what we have on our website is that for students there is a huge discount compared to basically adults, and even for adults it's still really relatively cheaper than any other therapist, and we still try to provide with the best therapist and most experienced out there. So in order for us, because everyone wants to heal, but just not everybody has the enough financial, what is the word?
Well, financial means of
The financial means to actually support themselves into going through therapy. I was privileged enough that yes, I did have the money to take myself out there and go through therapy, but also not everybody has that. So we wanted to be that type of support for you guys and for those who need it.
and for those who actually cannot, afford such services, we will, if funds permit from our own, Mission Elixir funds, extend that helping hand
Exactly, yes.
to that individual until they can get back up and, start their own life again.
All right, now Devansh, tell us, where were you before Mission Elixir started?
So initially, let's say from me as a childhood, I was always a daydreamer, introverted person, and looking for ways to make new things, invent things, this and that. I was quite a quiet person and had very few friends growing up. But after around 16, 17, I also went into the dark side of things, like drinking, smoking, this and that. And I discovered quite a few things, what people go through in those situations. And even though I sort of went there for fun in a way, I also discovered many different methodologies and things, many of which, such as naturopathy, this and that, bioresonance, all of this, going through the healthcare system, understanding the processes of all of these things is sort of what added to this experience of mine and what we're sort of trying to build with Mission Elixir as well.
You're saying that you had a phase of your life that you were basically drinking and smoking. So the thing is, what made you start to realize that it's not fun anymore and it's actually you're doing it to run away from something or some feeling?
Well, let's say initially I started it off as something fun, but life situations, life events that happened, and that
made you
sort
depend on it to escape, let's say.
In what way that sort of became something like way to ignore things in a way.
I agree with that. All right, and what made you realize that I am done with this life and it's time for me to start healing and growing as a person and have the enough courage to actually put this aside?
Well, it was around 2020 that I was in such a situation that a lot of people sort of were trying to frame me for things, this and that. And I was stuck in a very icky situation. Basically, I needed life elixir. And I sort of also, I was always a spiritual person, but also embraced spirituality to a deeper level and understanding of things. And that's sort of when, God extended his helping hand and pulled me out of many different things that were not possible for human beings to pull me out of.
Yes. So this is somehow, let's say, you found God or you found a protector over you that made you feel like, all right, now I can actually leave those temporary things that are not really healing me and focus maybe on the spiritual part of healing.
Let's just say if God didn't extend that helping hand at that moment, I would probably be dead right now.
Well, I'm glad to have you alive with me right now. Really. Okay, so after that, you have decided that you want to start Silver 7, and then Silver 7 have led to Elixir right now.
Silver 7 actually, as my dissertation in college, I was building an air purifier. And
A what?
Air purifier.
Air purifier. Nice. Okay.
And starting that small project
Mhm.
and all the experiences I've been through of corruption, this and that, it sort of became that sword to
Mhm.
a medium to use as that big sword to fight back, as well as, doing business at the same time.
All right. Do you think that maybe you're gonna go into the air purifier business later on?
Well, we already have prototypes and everything
Uh-huh.
ready, but sometime, we will release those products as well.
Well, I'm very excited to see that project come to life.
So how did you feel when you joined Mission Elixir as one of the founders?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, Mission Elixir is not just for me like a business or some sort of work that I'm doing, but it's also a personal story, and it's something that I hope I can change everyone's lives, just like how mine changed from the moment that I went to therapy and I started my self-growth journey. I would love to share even a little bit of part of that to the people that don't know, at least put them on that path, and then they can carry on by themselves. The thing is, it started first with just me being like a marketing specialist, and I was like trying to help you with coming up with a marketing plan for Elixir, even before Elixir came into life. But then we met in Dubai, and we realized that actually we do have a lot in common, and even with our dreams and our goals and helping people. And this is when I realized that yes, I would love to take you with me as a partner. And this is when you asked me like, Sunds, would you love to become the co-founder of Elixir? And in the beginning, I was nervous because it's like a lot of responsibility, and I was afraid that I will not be good enough for that. Like, yes, it's my dream, but I had those doubts inside of me. I remember I took some time to think about it, and then I told you that yes, I would definitely love to come on board. And eventually, I realized that yes, my responsibilities are starting to increase, but also there was this part of my heart that was heavy, and it started to crack open to light. And this is when I started to feel like I'm not only helping myself, but I'm also helping other people. And there's this some joy that comes with that. Usually they say that how if you want to be happy, you have to continuously help other people. But I didn't really realize it until I actually did put that into life in a bigger project and in a bigger scale. And we are just starting, but to be honest, I can see Elixir as a really huge project, and it's something that is going to take worldwide. And not only we're going to become mentors, but also somehow like the older brother and older sister that people always wanted to have in their life. But yes, I think one thing I can say is that I am very happy to be a part of Elixir, and I hope with whatever I have, I can bring value to Elixir and also to the people who believe in us. This is one thing that is a very important aspect to me.
Could you please elaborate from a personal capacity? What made you align with Mission Elixir?
Me and Mission Elixir have similar goals, which basically like, when did I realize that Mission Elixir is kind of like me is when I introduced you to my past and I introduced you to my therapy journey, and you decided to add this on Mission Elixir. And then when you asked me to become a co-founder, I realized that me and Mission Elixir have the same mission. So I would love to work on building something that is not only like a project that I do believe in, but it's also kind of like my personal goal and my personal path in life. I remember we had a phone call before we went to COP27, and you asked me, what is my goal after 10 years? And I told you that basically I've seen a video that was like, it was basically some kids that they were getting beaten up in an orphanage just because they opened the fridge and they were trying to eat, and that really broke my heart. And this is when I decided that I want to open my own orphanage, but I want it to be completely under my management. And I don't want anyone else to, manage that. Along with other things that I'm looking forward to honestly achieve. But one of the most important things, which is actually mental health. And I start with raising awareness with mental health with around my friends and around my family. But why can't I just reach more people that are not even aware of its benefits, and how there's still hope? 2 years ago, I kind of lost all hope, and maybe that sentence that you've mentioned, maybe that I wouldn't even be here right now. But then God, let's say, have extended me with a tool that made me realize that no, I can heal and I can still be alive and I can even be greater than all the other years that I have passed through. And it happened. So why doesn't Mission Elixir be also a tool to someone else to find life again?
Very interesting story.
Indeed, yeah.
And
it doesn't stop with the people around me. Like, I really want to approach people that I have never met. Just look at me, and I hope one day I can be brave enough to share my past and to share my story and what I went through. So people know that there is hope, that what you're passing through, you're not alone. What you're passing through has a solution. And you can get out of it. It's not the end. It's basically the beginning for a beautiful story that is meant for you to live. So I do hope to achieve that through Mission Elixir.
And where do you see Mission Elixir in the next 10 years?
I think it's going to become something like, as I mentioned, something like the older brother or older sister you need in every person's life. But it's not going to only be something you see on social media, but something that lives inside of you. One day, I want people to wake up and think that my life changed because of Mission Elixir. This is where I see Elixir in 10 years. That people wake up, they understand themselves, they understand their triggers, they understand their traumas, they're able to put themselves on the right career path, they're able to grow, they are not giving up. And this is my biggest goal with Mission Elixir. This is where I wish Mission Elixir to reach to. So I do believe that Mission Elixir is going to be something like that, something like we haven't ever seen in any other, let's say, career development or in any other therapy, counseling, or any of those things. It's basically going to be a mixture of all of this, but it's going to be somehow the tool that God did send to people in order for them to find themselves and find life again. And it's not going to only stop at you and me, but hopefully we can change the lives of 8 billion people by 10 years. So yeah, this is where I see Elixir.
So are we going to go into, we can go into healthcare and diversifying healthcare as such. And that can, eventually hospitals, this and that can all come into synergy with the entire thing.
And honestly, I do believe that everyone deserves the right to healthcare. Everyone deserves the right to a better mental health. You don't have to be rich or you don't have to be having like a high income in order for you to be able to afford a healthy life. I don't know, I just find this kind of not fair because all humans are equal. So the thing is with what we want to do with Mission Elixir is we want to make this accessible. So the thing is, maybe yes, we can't provide the medicines that are out there for free for everybody, but what we can do is maybe we can find alternatives to them naturally, and maybe we can go deeper into them and spread it worldwide, that now everybody has access to healthcare in their own house.
If we're looking at a global scale, some governments provide free healthcare, such as the UK, there's NHS, but looking at a global scale, how do you think Elixir would be able to fund such a large, massive project if we are to provide free healthcare and all of these things to every individual around the world?
If we're talking like from right now?
Well, as we grow on, keep on going, eventually, as the reach grows.
Well, healthcare or overall you being aware of your health starts from awareness, which actually starts from education. So the thing is, I'm not going to say that, yes, we're going to give up on the people who have already, graduated and we're not going to educate them. No, but the education journey actually stays with you until the moment that you die. But it has to start as well from the kids. So us educating kids about what is basically naturopathy, what is your mental health, and all of these things really do matter. Also educating the adults and maybe making them understand about what they're going through, what are they taking into their bodies from those medicines. So this is, I think, the biggest step first. And second step is actually what we're doing right now is if you buy any of our merchandise, you're also contributing to saving a life, because a part of the sales that we make does go to helping others who are struggling with mentally or who are struggling with their health. So I think this is how we are going to start from now, but then eventually we're going to be able to raise funds in many other ways other than sales of merchandise. And also maybe some sort of collaboration with governments to some point can help with that as well. But it also has to start with that person themselves, the person that we are helping. They have to be aware. And this is why I said education is the most important part first. Let's say right now there is an 11-year-old or 12-year-old who is watching our podcast. What is one thing we would like to tell them in order for them to be more aware of boundaries about mental health, about their own health, and also protecting themselves from traumatic experiences at that age?
Well, initially it's to understand what are, at that age, it's very difficult for that specific child to themselves to understand what is traumatic, what is right, what is wrong. So they might not know exactly what is hurting them. It may be something indirectly as well.
Yeah, that's true.
And at most times, some children may choose to stay quiet about some things and never tell anybody. Say, for example, this and that.
Yeah.
And the way to reach out to these people is actually through, what do they feel the most inclined towards, say for example a TV show, this and that, and to basically put coaching of these things, but in such a way that's encoded in these specific TV shows or cartoons, let's say.
So you're saying media, we should start with the media.
Yes, games,
yes,
iPad, this and that.
Exactly. And the thing is, unfortunately right now, the media that the kids are exposed to, they grow up kind of feeling lost, or basically a part of them is way ahead of their age, or they know things that they shouldn't know at that specific age. And then there's other things that they should know at this age, but they don't know it, because somehow the media is not only manipulating, but it's also kind of like giving that backward mentality to many of the kids.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is, if we're going to truly educate kids about boundaries, about traumas, about trust, all of these things, media is a very important factor that we should actually be working on as well.
Say for example, we have a cartoon show, let's call this Cartoon Bob
Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
And or Spider-Man, even something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And people knowing they're looking up to these people at like such a young age, and the way Spider-Man behaves, or this and that gets imprinted in them. And so if we encode something in these TV shows that sort of, just by looking at it, they apply it in real life situations, that sort of provides protection to them in dodging all of these dangerous situations that may occur in life.
Exactly, I agree. And especially at that age, you're starting to shape your character, like between you going from like after 10 years old to like going into your teenage years. You're shaping off your character, you're shaping off who you are, you're kind of confused. There's many things that you're not aware of, you don't know what is right or what is wrong, and as you said, you do stay quiet to many things that you think they're okay, or you think that you're forced to be quiet at them. But the thing is, what we want is for kids to know that some things, when they happen, they're not okay.
Mm-hmm.
And how to stand up for themselves, and how to heal even at that specific moment, not to leave it for many years until they're actually aware that yes, what happened wrong, and then I'm going to start my healing journey. So maybe somehow we cannot maybe prevent all type of bad experiences from the world, because this world is not perfect. But what we can do is at least raise awareness at the moment that is happening for that bad event not to turn into a trauma.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is something that we can actually look into, even as Mission Elixir, that the children part.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we can work on that, then you never know, maybe we can heal the whole next generation from passing through the negative things that this generation is passing through.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess also this is one of the goals that I do see Elixir in the next 10 years.
You know how there are these TV shows that also, even at an even younger age, that teach A, B, C, and the alphabet, this and that.
True.
Even if we have some things starting from that age, it could maybe by the time they're in their teens have a massive impact.
Definitely, I agree about that. Also, it's about violence, like kids who play more video games, let's say, not any type of video games, but let's say violence video games, they do show more violent behavior when they're entering their teenage years.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is, these things reflect, parents could think, oh, it's okay, it's like 1 hour thing, it's fine, but then they don't realize the effect of it on their subconscious mind. So this is something we can work on as well. What?
I used to play some video games, shooting games, this and that.
Me too, actually, as a kid.
Mm.
That's why I'm so angry. No, but not for long, actually. But also the sport does have a huge impact in genetics.
Mm.
But yes. And the thing is, anger is not only like what you show from the outside. Sometimes you can... Anger has, I think, 2 types, or maybe even more than 2 types of ways of showing. There's the type of anger that you suppress it inside of yourself, and you feel like you're boiling from inside. There's the anger that, you go smack the bottle on the floor and break plates and I don't know what. So I think there's that type of anger and there's that type of anger. Both of them are bad. Both of them are harmful for your health, even harmful for the people around you sometimes. So yeah, sometimes you can be playing video games, and yes, you don't grow up, throwing glass at people, but you could be suppressing that anger from inside of you as well.
At times there are, that specific violent game acts as a vent for some situations as well, because people are, taking it out on something that's digital.
Mm-hmm.
It all depends on what the situation is and how that individual sort of reacts to that scenario.
But the thing is, I do believe there's other ways to relieve your anger other than beating someone or other than basically playing video games. Like, as a matter of fact, mastering your mind with meditation or breathing exercises.
But would you teach meditation, all these things, to a 10-year-old
I think
kid,
they should know.
13-year-old kid?
But the thing is, I do think that they should know. I do think that kids at that age should be exposed to these type of ideologies of controlling your mind, controlling your thoughts, controlling what you say. Not only what you say to other people. Like, we always teach our kids, like, be nice to other people, but we never teach them that we should be nice to ourselves. So the thing is, I think it starts from there as well, even with anger and even with violence.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how can you basically let go of that violence or that energy in a healthy way, other than, let's say, video games, or other than beating someone or bullying someone, etc.
But say,
So, yeah.
for example, there's Bob. And
There's Bob again.
there's Bob, and Bob as a child is going to school, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And people are abusive to him, this and that, and eventually he comes into such a situation that even the teachers, they sort of perceive him in such a way that, puts
He's
pressure.
weak.
Yeah, in a way. And that also, so basically, say for example, Bob couldn't tell his parents about what is happening in school because
Maybe he wanted to protect their feelings.
Well, not exactly. If Bob told his parents, and his parents talked to the teachers, and the teachers talked to these individuals, going to school becomes hell in a way.
Oh yes, exactly. I got what you mean.
And there's various different aspects to that too.
All right. Do you think when actually somebody's experiencing bullying, do you think what they should do? Should they just try to deal with it themselves, like go beat those people or plan this master drama, what we see in teenage movies? Or should they actually go and seek towards somebody, like let's say a teacher or a parent or a counselor in the school, and tell them about it, and in order for them to fix it? But the thing is, I don't think fixing it is just going and scolding those kids and giving them attention, because as you said, this is gonna create even more hatred, like towards that kid who is getting bullied. But I think it's actually understanding why these kids are doing this in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe making both of them sit together and solve whatever issue that they have, and this time is for good. Maybe, like, I don't know, the counselor could literally leave the room, leave that kid in front of the other kid that bullied him, talk about everything. You're not getting out of here until you solve all of your issues. Maybe that could be a solution that could end the bullying there.
And that is one solution, understanding of what is sort of going on. But there are also certain schools or situations where even, teachers don't do that, and they are also part of, the entire thing.
Yeah, part of you even feeling like you're getting bullied by the teachers. Yeah, unfortunately, that is true. I remember I had a student, and I'm actually still teaching her until now. And the thing is, her mom was telling me that how she had 4 teachers before you, and she was not able, she's dyslexic, she was never able to read or write, and she's right now 10 years old. Until I started teaching her about a year ago, or almost 2 years ago right now. And right now she's able to write stories, she's able to read really long stories. And then her and I were talking, and I told her that just because you're dyslexic, it does not mean that you're less than any other person. Just your mind works in a different way than the other kids. Doesn't mean that it's less. And it just takes the right person in order for you to take you out of there. I don't have a teaching degree, but I did believe in that girl. I did make her feel that, yeah, she is good enough. Basically, with dyslexic kids, they can't read, for example, with white paper, it kind of irritates them. So I started printing her stories into like yellow, blue, and purple papers. So that helped her read. So the thing is, it's like I adjusted life in order for her learning experience to be easier, but I did not just say you have to learn the way how other kids learn. So the thing is, even though she had 4 teachers and it worked with me, it was more of like that kid never had a problem, but it was actually the teacher. The teacher made her feel less of herself. So that's why for I don't know how many years she was not able to read or write. So yes, I do agree that teachers do play a very important role even in the kid's life. And the thing is, kids do remember that. Kids do remember the teacher that belittled them, and they remember the teacher that actually took with their hand and made them better and made them believe in themselves. So teachers do play a very important part in not only teaching the subjects, but also like teaching you and educating you about who you are as well. So yes, the education system is not only about the kids, but it also comes from the teachers, it comes from the parents. It's actually like a whole cycle and pattern. You can't just fix one part without fixing the other parts. Because even bullies, I do believe that, like, okay, you can be a bully, but at the same time you could be struggling with other things. But this is not an excuse for the bully to go bully someone else, because also the person getting bullied is struggling with other things.
Mhm.
So the thing is, it's like somehow this person, the bully, is experiencing some sort of weakness in character. Maybe they are jealous, or maybe they are feeling bad, or maybe this is their only way of feeling self-worth by going and bullying someone else. So this problem, it has to be solved, and it could be coming maybe from their parents always belittling them, or maybe it could come even from their own selves or their own genetics. And this can be solved through therapy, also with the teachers, also with all of them communicating. As I told you, one of the solutions is that both kids need to sit with each other and solve everything. And the thing is, after, let's say if they couldn't solve everything, or after this finish, that counselor should come back and sit with the kid who's bullied and ask them, did that person solve everything with you? And they can say yes or no. They can say no, they have threatened me that after this they're going to do 1, 2, 3. So then the counselor try to arrange things in order to protect that kid, because the other one is actually not behaving. And try to sit with the other kid in order to understand, why do they have such a violent behavior? What are they passing through? Why are they doing something like that? And maybe try to either advise them or either try to solve that pattern. It does take not one person, it does not take one counselor, it actually takes a whole team. It has to be a whole school system. It has to be a whole parenting system. Because without both of them, then yes, we're never going to end bullying.
You see, it's fine sort of understanding how to facilitate that conversation in the first place. Because you can say, sit down and talk to this person. They can talk about it, solve it, but maybe the next day they'll think about it, this and that, and back to square one. So how do you properly facilitate that sort of solving that problem? That's genuinely done, but not the kids just doing it because the teacher is there and they have to do it.
That's the thing, it will not be about the teacher anymore. Like, if we're talking about this, it's not the teacher is going to sit down and both of them have to talk. The teacher will actually have to leave the room, let them both sit down and let them talk basically heart to heart about everything. They don't have to be friends. I mean, it's okay, you can choose who you want to be friends with, but at least we have to respect each other since we both are going in the same building. Because these things actually, they don't stop at school. They'll come back in college, like your behavior. They will come back in your workplace. So the thing is, you learning to respect people's boundaries from as a kid. This is gonna go with you hand in hand, literally, when you're older. So yes, this is one solution, but I'm not saying it's the ultimate solution. Maybe we can look into more things that could help in that situation. And as I said, it's a whole pattern. It's not only about what that counselor will do, or what will the teacher do, or what will the school do, or what will the kids even try to do. But it also comes from the parents at home. It comes from what do they hear from their parents. Sometimes the parent could be like, oh, dad, I went and I bet that guy up. They'll be like, yeah, you did the right thing. But the dad won't even sit and try to understand, why did you beat that kid up? Why did you do something like that? You understand? The parents would be like, oh, okay, you got beaten up, go stand for yourself, don't cry. And this also tells the kid to suppress their emotions again. So there's many aspects to all of these things. It's a whole system. It's not only like one individual. It takes literally a whole system to change the nation. It can't just be one person. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's what I believe in, to be honest. But I do believe on, like, let's say as a small part, we can start with this in the schools, like actually introducing both kids to sit together alone, and maybe the bullied actually can ask the bully, why are you doing this? Like, what did I harm you? Why don't you face me?
They try to figure out what's the initial, as maybe the friendship is pretty long, this and that, but if it's a new class, a new student comes in, they can sort of try and understand why is such a situation happening. For that, we would need, psychologists understanding behavior of these kids.
I don't understand what you mean.
Say, for example, someone new enters a school and that individual starts getting bullied.
Yeah.
You have to understand what was the initial step that was taken that caused that in the first place. Is it someone trying to get into a friends group, someone doing something? What was that initial, spark that caused that to happen in the first place?
Exactly. And the thing is that with these type of things, with the new girl or new guy in a new school and them getting bullied, I think it's also a part of, as I told you, when a bully goes and bullies someone, it's more of about they're trying to attain self-worth that they don't have from the inside. As I said, we're all struggling. So why some people choose to bully, some people get bullied, and some people somehow stay next to the wall. So if we're talking about it, then that bully is lacking some sort of self-worth. They're feeling insecure and they just want to project maybe their power. This is how they feel they are gaining power, by hurting other people. So it can start with that counselor or that therapist at the school, by going through these things, understanding their behavior and trying to treat it with them. But it can't only be the therapist. We have to also kind of like plant within our children, since they are literally babies, that they need to, basically their healing and growth is in their own hands and it's in their responsibility. They can't live their whole life as the victim. They can't live their whole life as the bully. They can't live as the survivor. We have to actually teach them that their life is in their own hands. Why are they the bully? And by the way, a lot of bullies, not all, some of them, yes, they have corrupted souls, to be honest, my opinion. But some of them actually, they bully and they don't understand why are they bullying other people.
But what if that pattern exists somewhere in their family and, they sort of
Exactly,
mimic that pattern?
Exactly, I agree with that. So the thing is, sometimes you can harm somebody, but it's not completely in your hand. Like, you don't want to harm that person, but subconsciously you find yourself over and over harming that person. So this goes back to the traumas, this goes back to how your parents are with you at home, this goes back to the society, this goes back to maybe you trying to fit in so much so you act that way, you act like cool, okay, I'm gonna go hurt that kid to seem cool. But, so yes, I think it goes into deeper understanding within the person themselves, within like the parents with that kid, with the counselor at school, with the teachers, with other kids as well. There has to be a very high level of self-awareness. When I worked as a teacher, there was a very beautiful thing. We're literally doing it for 6 years old, okay? Where we actually have something called circle time and we all sit down and just talk about our feelings. Talk about how we feel, talk about how we felt yesterday, talk about if something is bothering us. And the thing is, we have to talk about something. We have to talk about what makes us happy, what makes us sad, and we have to let those emotions out and we have to learn communicating from that age.
What about, adding something like group sessions into
schools?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is really
young
important.
age, like children writing down their thoughts into notebooks rather than 2 + 2 is 4.
Yeah.
That is there. But as addition to understand people's thoughts, what they are feeling, and maybe a psychologist can find something, say for example, a child writes, my mom is this, my dad is this, or I felt fear from this. That something can be addressed at that age rather than
I think this is actually a great idea. I didn't think about that before, but this is something that we can introduce into the school systems, that what we can do is basically there has to be a kind of a class that is like therapy or mental health, like awareness or psychology of people learning and understanding themselves. And also like maybe at the end of the class they're assigned to write a paper, and only the person who's going to have access to that paper is the counselor or the therapist. And also a lot of kids do pass through abuse in their own homes and they're afraid to speak about it. So this is also one of the ways that is going to help kids open up about what is happening to them, and maybe they can get saved before it's like too late.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I do think this is actually a great idea that it can be followed. Also the circle time thing that I told you about, 6 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we just carry this all the way until you graduate high school? Like, what is the problem with us all sitting down in every class and just facing each other and talking about how do we feel, what do we want, and what is bothering us? And if somebody is bothering us, maybe face each other, maybe talk about it. Maybe understand, why did I harm that person, or why did I get harmed? And this is going to improve communicating. I think the biggest problem in this world with relationships, with friendships, with any type of kind of connection between you and anybody is actually communication. The lack of communication is, I feel like it's the root to all of our problems. I feel like a lot of wars probably just started from lack of communication. So yeah, I do think that this is actually a great idea to start with educating.
Okay, maybe we can try and add certain aspects to Elixir, and also maybe through education platforms.
Yes, definitely. And I think bullying is a very interesting subject because it's also something personal to me. So maybe we'll talk about this in our next podcast more. But definitely, I did already have one of my dreams was to build a school system that is completely different than what is happening right now. And it's already a project that I'm working on right now. And somehow the social cause of this is basically a project that works on preventing and ending bullying. So maybe this is something that we can look into, adding that to that project as well. Yeah. Well, I think that's it for today. That was a very interesting conversation. I did not even expect that it will go there. Really, I'm very happy about it. Like, we just thought we were going to talk about Elixir, introduce ourselves, but this got very deep in a very beautiful way, and it actually opened my mind to things that I did not think about before.
An
and I think
actual conversation.
Yes, exactly. So thank you everyone for watching, and we'll see you in our next podcast. This is going to be also a series just like our webinars, so always stay tuned, always comment down in the comment section. What would you like us to talk more about? And if you have more ideas that maybe we can incorporate with Elixir, it would be very nice if you share it with us, whether through our social media or emails or even down in the comments. And Devansh, do you want to add anything else?
If you have any questions you would like us to answer, please do let us know, contact us. And do visit our website, www.missionelixir.com, to join our community and know more about our events and upcoming webinars, etc.
If you'd like to contribute more towards our mission, make sure to shop our products. With every product sold, it actually contributes towards saving a life. So become a superhero and join Elixir. And thank you so much. We will see you on our next podcast. Goodbye.
Thank you. See you.